Two games still remaining tonight for our opening night of the Oceanic Nationals. Of course, we've got Elevate versus Pittsburgh Knights coming up very, very shortly to round out our best of one bonanza, which is, of course, going to be the case for all of our play days. Welcome back, guys. We've got ourselves a real 50-50 coming up really shortly.
Yeah, if the last match was my favorite of this night, this is probably my second favorite. The caliber of the gameplay might not be as good as we saw in Wildcard and LFO, but the storyline itself will well and truly make up for that.
For sure. I mean, obviously, going from Wildcard's impressive gameplay, maybe we won't get those lofty heights. In saying that, though, I think Elevate and, of course, Pittsburgh Knights should have their own lofty ambitions for the season. I mean, Elevate want to try and redeem themselves after a bottom two finish in the Six Masters, which, quite frankly, probably surprised quite a few. They can't have the same result here in Oceanic Nationals. Otherwise, then they will be having to deal with the relegation series. Since we have a look at the lineup, of course, most notably, Hotshot is going to be making his debut for the team.
That's exactly right. Red has decided, I believe, on his own volition to head towards the bench. Excited to see what Hotshot can bring to the table, because it is a little bit unproven in the fact that we haven't really seen him play a whole lot of officials in Rainbow Six. The rest of the team will stand as is, so notable names such as God Legion and Digital are still around, Worthy as well. I mean, Fast, all these names, I could just go on forever about the experience that these blokes have. So they'll be disappointed finishing 7th last season after probably gunning for a top 2. This is the season where they can try and bounce back.
Let's have a look at their opponents for this evening. It is the Pittsburgh Knights, who, of course, themselves have also had a roster change. Strider out, Sages in.
That is still feels bad. I'm still going to miss Strider and his smile in those interviews. He was obviously a well-known figure in ANZ, basically here from the very beginning. So sad to see him depart. But again, that's another opportunity for the likes of Sage to jump in and prove their worth. The rest of the team, again, standout performers are the likes of Josh and Dino, who can go massive, but Juicy and Hayward still in their own right on those support roles can be quite strong. The Knights themselves, they had a really decent last season. In fact, they actually managed to go all the way to the grand final in the Oceanic Major. They did lose it in the end 3-1 to Wildcard, but the fact that they even made that was a surprise to many, and they'll be looking, despite this roster change, to continue that form heading into this season of OCN.
You get the feeling that both teams can, of course, have seasons that can, you guessed it, go either way. They've both got high ambitions, but at the same time, when you've got, you know, such a packed lobby for this group of teams, I could see both of them potentially dropping down second last, third last, maybe, you know, fourth last, for instance. So it's like, whereabouts do you see their seasons potentially heading for both of these two teams, guys?
Well, both of these teams really file into what we are expecting to be the mid-pack, sort of that 3rd to 7th position. We've got basically Wildcard and Okami locked in 1st and 2nd at this stage, and then Rhythm down the bottom. Both of these teams, as I mentioned, are in the middle of that, and it's really tricky to guess where they're going to end up. Yes, the top 6 do make the playoffs, but you want to finish as high as possible. You've got seeding on the line, prize money as well, don't forget that. As in terms of predicting it, though, I have no idea. But hopefully this game gives us an indication.
It very well could give us an indication. It could very well maybe give us nothing really to go off other than, of course, a dub for one of these two teams. In terms of maps, though, we've seen Clubhouse, we've seen Kafe. Both feel like the home of ANZ for Rainbow Six Siege. Are we going to get a third map? Are we going to get something different? Or are we going to go to one of the maps we've already seen?
Well, there's definitely a strong chance we will head to Kafe. Both of these teams I've noted are quite strong on this map and have a decent win delta. I mean, other maps to highlight briefly are maybe a theme park or an Oregon because of the limited data that we have on those maps. It could be, you know, in the best interest of these teams to head us there. They can bring something new to the table, try and throw their opponent off guard. That said, though, that mindset is transferable across both teams. They're probably going to try and do the exact same thing. So seeing them battle it out on one of those maps could indeed be quite entertaining.
Let's have a look at the map vetoes as they come out very, very soon. Look, I agree with you. I mean, I would love to see another Kafe as well. It's one of my favorite maps. Clubhouse bad out the gate, and as we get closer and closer and you don't see it, I think we may be heading there, and we are going to be heading to Kafe. How good are you guys at this analyst role? Look at you, spot on.
It's all in the spreadsheets, as a wise man once told me by the name of James Devmarter Stewart. Even if you can't cast, at least have a good spreadsheet, and that's exactly what I've got here. I mean, if you want to actually run down the numbers, Elevate, in the history that I've got, have gone 5-2 on Kafe. Knights have gone 8-5. So they're not flawless at all on these maps. So definitely some weaknesses there that could be exploited.
I think that's because a lot of teams in this region are super comfortable with the likes of Kafe and Clubhouse. We see them so often as well. So you are going to get those sort of numbers. I think that this could, I don't even want to say could go either way. I need to find another phrase. They both can win, they both can lose. This is as simple as that. This should be, it was by some of us said potentially sort of the matchup of the round in terms of how close it can be. There's another matchup coming up on Friday that I think will be really the highlight of the week in terms of quality, but in terms of how close our matches are going to be this week, this could very well be one of them. I think this can go to overtime, and I think it will go to overtime, or someone will just pinch it before we can get that opportunity.
That's exactly what I was going to echo. We haven't had an overtime match here this evening, so we haven't had one at all over the course of the Oceanic Nationals thus far, and this is probably shaping up to be, particularly on this map, the first opportunity to head all that way. But again, it's just, with the break being so long and with so limited amount of data to go off recently in terms of form, we have no idea if either of these teams are going to come out of the gate any good, so who knows.
Let's go and have a look at what you guys think at home and whether or not you think it's going to be as close as we do. Just about 60-40 is probably not a bad little split here, and considering that Elevate have probably got a bit to really try and bounce back from a disappointing Six Masters performance coming straight out of the gates here against maybe a potential vulnerable Knights, obviously after losing Strider. Who knows? This could be the perfect time to strike for Elevate. Personally, for me, I'd have it as 50-50, guys. That's where I see it. But I think 60-40 is not that far off the money.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. 50-50 would probably be reflective of each team's opportunity to take this map. And as you sort of alluded to, I think it's going to come down to which team has been able to adapt to these roster changes the quickest. I'm not entirely sure how long either of these teams have had to adjust. Maybe they happened behind the scenes right at the conclusion of Six Masters 2020, or maybe like some of the other squads, they only happened a week or two ago. So who knows? We'll have to see how it plays out.
Of course, there's big shoes to fill for Sage taking on Strider, but then on the same, you've got, Hotshot coming in for Elevate. So does that, in your mind, throw out any excuses since both teams have got a new player coming into the lineup?
I don't think you can really excuse your performance on a roster changer like that, but it might be a reason. I mean, reason and excuse. I mean, Castle, you might say it's the same, but it's really not. I don't think the Knights will excuse a poor performance because Strider isn't on the team, but they might be able to link some of the mistakes they could make tonight to that, because we know that Strider was such an influential member of that team, and there's no doubt he would have been a loss. On Elevate, on the other end, I know Red has been on that team for quite some time as well, so losing him will hurt, and Hotshot, with maybe less experience than the team would have liked, I'm not entirely sure, but giving him that opportunity to rise, we'll have to see what the results are in the end.
Well, let's go and have a look at what the expert panel think the result is going to look like in terms of
Hey,
wins.
we're the same.
So
let's go.
We've both gone for the Knights, but it's a pretty even split, only beaten by Ducky, really, if we want to count Manic, Sky, and Raven as 3, myself, yourself, and Dev as the other 3 for Knights. So Ducky, the decider there, has gone with Elevate, which kind of actually lines up with the community vote as sort of this 60-40 split in the end. So I think this kind of speaks for itself. The community vote, the snowball predictions all say that this is going to go either way. And I freely am allowed to say it this time, okay, guys? Get off my back.
I wasn't even thinking about it. I was thinking about what I was going to say next, which is, this is the battle of the casting pairs. I mean, whoever wins this match in the predictions, whether it be you and I or Raven and Manic, I mean, they're the best casting pair, right? Like, 100% confirmed. Undisputed champions of at least this match, I guess.
Enough gibberish. Let's get into it. Between Elevate and Pittsburgh Knights, we head back to Kafe. It feels like a lifetime ago that we were here. It's 50-50. It's anyone's game. It feels like neutral territory as well. Who's going to get off to a good start? The Oceanic Nationals, and what would be a big win for either team against another team around their level of play.
Heading straight into the bands. Not entirely sure what we can expect. It may mirror what we saw on the last map.
Oh,
but no,
there's
it
the
won't.
ace span.
So Ace was quite influential on the very first map that we saw this evening, but that was Clubhouse. Obviously plays out quite differently to Kafe, but eliminating one of those hard breaches, particularly Ace, who is so maneuverable and adaptive to particular scenarios, will make the attack quite tricky. Add on top of that the Maverick, and this could well be leaning heavily into the side of the defenders.
Did we see it? I don't know if we saw Ace on Kafe in the last round matchup. I could be wrong. Maybe it snuck in every now and then, but I don't think it was played.
I personally don't remember it, but it may have been on the board.
Definitely was on the board. Definitely wasn't banned. It's the first time we're going to see Ace banned out. Kaid will follow as well. And oh, there's the mirror. As soon as you said mirror in your speech before, I thought, yep, mirror's going to get banned somewhere, and there she is. So back over to Kafe. Slightly different bans to what we saw in our wildcard LFO series, but of course, 2 different teams, 10 different players, different expectations, different bans.
I think the great thing is that even though we've just come off the back of a Kafe match, we're going to see it again, but with these fresh bans, so it should change up the way in which it's being played. And it's not even the bans, in fact, that are going to be different. It's the picks as well. I really was hoping that Dino was going to stick the Clash, but he will 6-pick onto the Valk, instead opting to bring even more information gathering to the lineup. And that may well be the play, because I don't think the attack brought an IQ, and if they did, I missed it. No, they didn't. So detecting those cameras outside could prove quite challenging for Elevate.
Bar and Cocktail, first round defense for Knights as well. Pretty standard, I guess. A bit more of a standard first defense as well compared to wildcard LFO for what we saw there. So, of course, new skins in the R6 store, the NA League for Smoke. Of course, if you want to support the Aussies, it's Blitz, if I'm correct there.
You are correct.
Gus?
Indeed.
Everyone loves the Shieldy boys.
I'm now a Blitz main, except I don't think I've ever played Blitz on PC. I mean, I might have, but probably less than an hour, but that will change. I assure you, I am now a Blitz main, confirmed.
Well, we saw the defense certainly ruled in the wildcard LFO matchup. I think we can both agree on that one. So coming into now this matchup between Elevate and Knights, your defensive rounds are certainly going to be important.
And particularly, again, considering that there are 2 hard breach bans on the board, and despite the fact that we didn't see a whole lot of ace, if any at all, in the last matchup between wildcard and LFO, I can't help but feel that maybe that was an oversight by some of those teams, or either of those teams, and maybe the ace could have been quite effective. Now will force the attackers to lean in more so towards that Hibana and the Thermite. Only one of those being brought to the board though by Elevate. So if those X-Kairos are denied or Hotshot is taken down, then that attack really starts to come under a lot of pressure.
A bomb has been located.
I don't think the opening round is going to prove too much, but I think Elevate would love to get off to a great start with an attacking round win and just put a bit of doubt in the minds of Knights. And it's really what we think they would like to achieve here. A lot of defense over in Cocktail with Sage, Hayward, Juicy. Anna just sitting in the storage area. And well, Elevate's still got a minute and a half. They'll slowly make their way upstairs, so preferring to play from below. Start pushing him to the second floor, make their way up.
Again, we're going to see the attackers establishing control from below vertically. Digital narrowly missing some shots, and he gets caught off guard by Juicy. Is he refragged? Yes, he is. Multiple lines of sight are forced on to Juicy. Eventually taken out. But God Legion will pretty quickly replace that position. So these defenders inside a Cocktail need to be mindful of those angles being created from below.
Certainly seems like a difference between Six Masters and Oceanic Nationals already, and now Kafe is being played from the attackers. A lot more emphasis on that verticality, like you mentioned, and playing it from the second floor.
Start loaded.
Pass just from the skylight. Hayward just going to keep control over at White Corridor.
Attacker.
These repels are quite risky from the attack and not a whole lot of time. They need to get moving. Vast does have that diffuser in hand as God Legion from below does shut down Sage. Smokes come out from the Capitao and Dino finds one back. Vast in the midst of all the chaos will try to get this plant down, but Hayward pushes through, finds the pick and will drop down the hatch. Elevate now need to try and reattempt it, but Worthy's the only member left to try and cover. He does manage to find one. In fact, it's God Legion who finds himself a pick after falling off the diffuser, but Worthy is now left in a one-on-one, but out of nowhere, he shuts down Josh. The Knights, they should have been able to hold on, but they weren't able to in the end.
Does Josh need to peek that though? They don't have control of the diffuser. I mean, it's not a hard aggressive peek or anything like that, but could have backed off. Could have tried to play down the clock. There was about, I think, 5-6 seconds remaining, and the diffuser was on the floor. Maybe just in the midst of all that chaos towards the end, Josh not realizing potentially an out there as we head down to kitchen in the second round. Great start for Elevate. A little bit messy though, especially after what we saw in the wildcard LFO series. That round in particular, guys, certainly the messier of the rounds that we've seen on Kafe played out tonight.
Quite chaotic in the end. Should have been the Knights, but it wasn't meant to be. Looks like they're electing now to go back towards kitchen. I don't think we saw a whole lot of kitchen in the last matchup. In fact, I'm just going to have a little quick peek at that matchup. I believe it might have been played once. No, it wasn't played at all. So there you go. Actually, no, it was. It was played once by Wildcard on their third defense. In fact, it was also played by LFO. So I am just talking absolute rubbish.
You're digging your own hole here, buddy.
The more I read my spreadsheet, the more I face palm. But the point is, we didn't see it a whole lot. It was only 2 rounds in total, compared to upstairs, for example, or even reading Fireplace, which got a whole lot more playtime. The Knights trying to lean on that to try and find a round because, I mean, upstairs wasn't quite theirs. Although I will say that it could have been, right? It was really the last couple of seconds where they threw it away, so it wasn't like it was the worst defense.
Great start for Elevate though, taking out the opening round. And can they just make this easier than we thought it would be? I mean, both the community vote and the snowball predictions had them edged out to take this series. So very marginal favorites. And they've started off that way with a very marginal win in the opening round. Knights didn't do themselves too much of a disservice. Probably could have done some little bits different, but not a surprise that the opening round really was a 50-50 coin flip towards the end, and it just feels like that's the way the most of these rounds are probably going to play out.
God Legion now trying to establish nice quick control of this white hallway. Banshee on the floor, he uses an Ash charge to clear that, and our Sage needs to be mindful that he doesn't get rushed on the white stairs, and oh my word, he doesn't quite get the kill, does God Legion. In fact, it's Sage who ends out on top. Still has about 40 HP as well in the bank. So that's a great opening pick for the Knights.
Well, he did have the high ground. Apparently, it didn't matter. Sage just... Well, I mean...
That was good, that was good. I don't know if you're actually trying to meme it, but that was actually quite good.
It was about half and half, right? I was right. I wasn't wrong. So Sage played that well. Didn't... held his ground there. Didn't get bullied away from that position. And look, maybe it's the wrong play, because like you probably lose that fight 8 times out of 10, and God Legion's very wondering, how did I not get him? As Juicy gets digital through the floor. Oh, there's a second one from Dino onto Worthy. So 2 versus 4 remaining, and in quick succession, Elevate have just lost a bunch of players. Down to Vast and Hotshot. And Vast does get Dino. 2 versus 3. Round is certainly still alive. This one's not over, and we've still got 55 seconds remaining.
Plenty of time left here as well for Hotshot to use his X-Kairos on the wall, but he only has 1 charge, so if he is able to open it, it'll only be a prone angle. He's going to have to use it now on this castle double on this corridor as Vast pushes down towards reception. I'm assuming the play here will be to try and refrag through the main door, but Josh inside of Kochek poses a real danger of unraveling this plan.
I think Vast, though, if he does get Josh, which he doesn't, could have unraveled that plan, but now it's pretty much impossible, you'd think. Hotshot, new player, and horrible position to be in, is just getting slaughtered through the flashes right now. Somehow made it into coat check, and that was just a funny ending. It's 1-1 here on Kafe.
You could say that Josh had the high ground in that instance, and that's why he didn't die and got a kill, because he was on the box. So
Was he playing floor is lava?
He was elevated above his opponent. See what I did there?
Oh, I like that one.
Thank you.
That was good. Bar and cocktail for the third round here. Knights just picking up a crucial round win. That was better from Knights. Certainly a cleaner round than the first round was, and as these sort of rounds can build up, now you would think Knights, the way they've played this so far on Kafe, could have easily been up 2-0. That's not the case. For every round that Elevate can sort of steal away from Knights' defense will bode well for their own defense, of course, when they switch at the half.
That's exactly right. It's up to the Knights now in this round to delay a little bit more time and try not to allow Elevate to go for that cocktail execute in the case that they reattempt it. I'm expecting Elevate maybe to mix things up a little bit here, as the Knights likely have that attacking round, or defensive in their case, fresh in the backs of their minds and ready to not throw it, basically, because that's what they did on the last occasion.
10 seconds to insertion.
So yeah, Elevate surely will go for a little bit more of a traditional take, and the Knights will be ready.
5 seconds to insertion.
Was it a complete hard throw, to be fair? I mean, God Legion found a triple kill that game and fragged out fast. Sorry, I think it was Worthy who had it, the other two. I think it was more, you know, Hayward dropping down the hatch, repositioning, wasn't able to get anything out of that. And then Josh peeking at the end from Bar. Just little moments that maybe could have been a bit cleaner from Knights on that first round. I think Elevate could have said the same too. I mean, from their end, it wasn't really that clean and precise from them either. Quite messy of a round, and as you called it, you know, chaotic. So we go again though on Bar and Cocktail, and we can see pretty quickly if this is going to be a similar approach from Elevate. Will they play that verticality second floor, or will it be a bit more of what we are used to seeing? Digital though, just in the second floor, and I think it will be that second floor again.
Yeah, so it was, I believe, Dino above. Maybe it was, I think it was Dino, yeah. Dino using those vertical holes. A little bit of an off angle to catch Digital off guard. Unfortunately for the Knights, it wasn't quite enough to down Dig. And he can still use that skeleton key to full effect down below, create some verticality on towards the site. Not much pressure on this second floor from the Knights. Sometimes we'll see teams roam and try and disrupt this take, but it seems like the Knights are pretty content in giving them this control, instead focusing their efforts more in towards the site.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Sage is the only one in Cocktail this time around. And the first round, I think there was like 3 at one point sitting inside a Cocktail for Knights. So a different approach, more focus for defense on the west side, and maybe like a bit of a slight retake idea here, and allowing Cocktail to just be not quite as much manpower on the site.
This is really the danger though. Digital down below. He can make sure that none of these players are sitting on top of those cocktails, and it leaves the likes of Sagian to try and go for picks, but he does end out on top, thanks to the damage done earlier by his teammate. God Legion now will try to replace this position, but Sajian's already ready and waiting. He looks through the metal bars, but gets taken down. That's a great trade back there from God.
Sage on is now Sage off.
Oh, jeez. How long have you been waiting to say that?
Probably about 15 minutes. Hey, look,
patience.
Sage has started extraordinarily well for Knights so far. As Dino's going to get hot shot out from the window, who was repelling. Vast taken very low. Does have the diffuser in hand. 16 seconds down to the final moments of this round. God Legion with just a pop onto Josh. Badusi gets God Legion back immediately. 1v2. Now it's 0v2. Knights, that was much better for their bar cocktail defense.
And the weird part about the latter stages of that round is if you looked at the positions of the defenders and those of the attackers, it was almost flipped. Because Elevate didn't have control of the skylight, the Knights were basically roaming around bar, and Elevate, who had worked their way in towards Cocktail, was sitting there ready and waiting to try and get the safe plant down, but it wasn't quite meant to be. That flick from God Legion that I went, oh, that was absolutely mind-blowing. I have no idea how he managed to hit that, but again, just not quite enough. A little bit too late in the round to have a big impact, and now the Knights do have the lead.
Certainly agree with you. I think we saw it as well building at the earlier stages in that round, and just the way that Knights were positioning themselves for it. It's just kind of like allowing Elevate into Cocktail, but then just pinching them in and squeezing, and it worked out really well for them. And as I said, much better from Knights that particular round. 3 kills so far for Sagian. Certainly impressive. As for Hot Shot, hasn't quite been as hot.
Hot. Do they pay you for this? Are you getting paid to say
I get I get 10 cents per pun.
Jeez.
You gotta make a living.
Maybe I need to sign that somewhere. 10 times every time I do a math mistake, I'd probably be rich, and I'd be able to buy all the new R6 skins, and then I'd be.
Well, see, that's what they used to do with Dev, right? For every spreadsheet he would read out, they had to pay him $10, and well, we were going broke. We had to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's the only reason, right? It's not like he's casting EUL or
no
APAC North or anything. That's just they had to ship him off somewhere, right? Otherwise, he just wouldn't stop talking about Siege.
Exactly. Well, if Knights found a switch themselves here, 2-1. Last 2 rounds certainly have looked cleaner from them in particular. And Elevate have got a wall. They've got to either try and find a way around or push through.
I have a challenge for you, Xenox. If you can make a pun with Josh's name, I will be in awe. It's just the most like straightforward and basic name of all these players. Yeah, Josh. You reckon you can do it?
I think it would be difficult. You'd have to give me a couple minutes to figure that one out, though. I don't know if I've got one ready in the chamber.
So I'm sure you'll have plenty of time. It's looking like this map will go on for some time. So maybe I'll give you until the end of the map, maybe to throw one out. And I would be quite impressed. Even I wouldn't be able to do it. I can't even think of one.
We'll see how it plays out. Maybe something might come my way, depending on if Josh could get a clutch moment. Maybe the inspiration will just strike. Elevate just slowly clearing out in this 3rd floor, opening up washrooms. Minute 27 seconds. Of course, still got to get down to that 2nd floor. And it is actually Josh sitting inside a Cocktail, along with Hayward.
It's just over a minute to go, and Elevate are taking a significant amount of time now to transition this control from Lounge in towards Cocktail. Still multiple defenders, namely Josh and Hayward, holding these positions, and Juicy is also lurking around the white stairs to assist. So it's up to Fast now to try and really initiate this pinch and try and displace these defenders, force them down the hatch, force them down the stairs to try and give them some sort of verticality, because even now they're still just droning them out and trying to work out exactly where they're playing.
No kills yet for Digital so far in the first 3 rounds. Knows where one is, but it's God Legion who will actually get Josh. Definitely not going to be able to get any puns this round as he goes out extraordinarily early. Fortunately, there was a refrag onto God Legion, so it's 4 versus 4. 25 seconds remaining in the round. Hot Shot still with the diffuser. Can drop down the hatch at the last second. Not going to want to do that. In fact, we'll just go back outside and going to go for the more default plan. 15 seconds remaining. Elevator set up for it, but Dino gets Digital. And now they're at this disadvantage, 3 versus 4. Can Knights take a 3-1 lead? Yes, they probably can. Triple kill. Well, if I said Sage was off, Sage is on. And this round is all Knights.
A little bit scary for Elevate at the moment. They're struggling to gain control of some of the key points on this map in a timely fashion. In fact, I'm not even convinced they had decent control of Cocktail at all above the site at any time during that round, which is really distressing. Yes, it's tricky. Yes, you've got 2 hard breaches banned, but I mean, Thatcher's still on the board. You shouldn't be having a whole lot of difficulty clearing some of this utility. Get some explosives on the board, clear some of these shields, and if you need to, just send some bodies into these sites and try and refrag it out. It felt like Elevate were just sitting back a little bit there, waiting for the Knights to make the first move, but they were playing incredibly disciplined on that defense, didn't give away too many picks, and eventually Elevate just felt the squeeze.
3-round wins in a row now for Knights, and if I'm going to be quite frank, guys, I mean, that first opening round could have easily gone to Knights as well. We could very well be looking at a 4-0 right now in a different reality. Obviously, we're not, and to be fair to Knights and Elevate, you could say it just for about almost every round, right? Where Elevate themselves could say, well, if we did this and this, maybe it's, you know, 2-2. And I think Knights definitely with the deserved lead right now. For Elevate, what's the pass mark here? I think, honestly, just getting another round win, call it a day, and try out your own defense.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say probably a 2-4 would be the pass mark. Anything less than that becomes a little bit stressful on that attack. And when those bans came out, I thought it wasn't going to be incredibly easy to attack, but probably not quite this challenging. And I'm not even convinced that maybe the Ace and the Maverick being off the board is really what's halting some of these pushes and some of this map control for Elevate. It just feels a little bit like a lack of confidence. And again, it's incredibly hard to really measure that. We're not in the call. We can't hear what's exactly going on internally, but just their body language in terms of where they're playing around the map and the gunfights that they're electing to take outside of basically God Legion. The rest are just sitting back and waiting just a little bit too much for my liking.
I still think Elevate have been thereabouts at times. Just got to probably clean up that execution a bit, and they'll be right back in this one. I mean, they're not necessarily out of it just yet, but they're on the verge of being so juicy. He's on the verge of dying and just escapes the slimmest of margin of health now. So it does make it difficult, because while obviously Juicy is still going to be able to have an impact for the rest of this round, can't really put himself in a position where he can trade. He has to just have really an angle or a sight line held down and can't be too aggressive here on out.
The good thing for Elevate, though, is they have some manpower in towards the side, and they can generate some verticality to clear these players from above. And Vast does shut down Dino. That's the castle taken off the board. Worthy as well, funny one. And there we go. Once they start to get that early round advantage and that early map control, it seems like they can start to generate and steamroll some momentum in these rounds.
Of course, Juicy was the one very, very low on health. So 3 versus 5. Worthy now the one with low health. Still got the cap can to deal with, though, as we have seen Hayward pick it up for this round in particular. But this is much better from Elevate. Taking out Juicy and Dino. Still plenty of time, though. 50 seconds remaining. Knights can easily turn this around.
It's a great opportunity for Josh to get himself into this match. Only going 1 and 3, but with the older in hand and so many players left to try and spray down, his position towards bottom red could be quite critical in holding down that hallway. It's a little bit hard to, or a little bit difficult for me to guess what Elevate's going to go for here. It looks like maybe it'll be a freezer drop, but Hayward finds Digital, and that starts to put pressure back on the attack. They need to go for something sooner rather than later.
Well, Seiji on 6 kills already has been a standout. Feels like tonight the trend has been the debutants doing extraordinarily well. Unfortunately, I put the Mozzie on him there as Vast will take him out. Josh, though, with 1, can get a second one. That pun might be coming up very shortly if he can find a triple kill. He's usually well known for being able to get them, and Knights win the round. A bit of a slam dunk from Josh, just like Chris Bosch. How's that one, Weekaz?
Not bad. Not bad.
Bad.
Look, I'm just happy as well that my prediction of Josh popping off that round came true as well, and that's really what the Knights needed. He was in a great position, and Elevate left themselves with not a lot of maneuverability. All they had really was the hatch open. And once the Knights were fully aware of that, they were able to swarm site, get those kills, and Elevate were just left sleeping. So a great round from the Knights. Again, Elevate just maybe need to prod the site a little bit more, I feel. Maybe put some pressure back on the Knights, especially considering this will be their last attack and their last opportunity until at least overtime to do so.
4-1 now. Well, this is just blown out extraordinarily quickly. I feel like it's a bit of a buyer's beware. Notice here, we exclaimed this one would be very close. 50-50. Either way, however you want to say it, the votes from the community vote to the snowball vote had this being really close. And now, guys, it feels like we're one round away from 5-1.
We might be right. which is good because, as I will remind Raven and Manic, who are probably watching right now, they actually voted for Elevate.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. So, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, and maybe I'm speaking
Inferior.
a little bit too soon, but
5 seconds remaining.
all I'm going to say is if we're right and they're wrong, then we are the better casting pair.
Watch Elevate now just have like a classic defense hold, come back and win it, and you're gonna cop it for both of us.
You know what they've done? They've probably just clipped what I've said as ammunition that they can fire when Elevate win this, or if Elevate win this.
They're a long way back. Elevate at the moment, 1-4. Knights have just looked better. They've looked cleaner. And how about the debut as well from Sejon? I mean, seriously, has been impressive.
100%. Showing up when it matters. And I mean, every match matters in this season, but in particular your first, where you want to make that impression and build that confidence for the rest of the season. There's nothing worse than jumping into your first officials, struggling, and then really trying to regain that confidence for the remainder of the season. So props to Sage for a great start. You'll be looking to steamroll that for the remainder of this map, and then looking forward to the rest of the season. Containing it to this match, though, it's up to Elevate to try and shut him down and the rest of the team that's really feeding off that confident playstyle at the moment.
Digital still yet to find a frag. Just blazing on in. Not going to find Sejon, though. Not going to peek that one. No real need to do so just yet. Digital sitting in cigar shop. Trying to just have some presence on or close to the site. Minute and 35 seconds remaining. Thanks, Kyra's going to go out from Hot Shot. What have you made of Hot Shot just quickly, guys, so far in the first 5 rounds?
Too early to call. That is my TLDR. I mean, to be honest, it's been such a limited sample size. Elevate themselves aren't performing entirely well, and Hot Shot's really just playing a Hibana support, and I haven't seen too many issues in the way that Hibana's being played, so it's a pass mark so far. I'd give it a C grade pass.
Oh, C's get degrees, though. That's the good news. Josh just going to push back up the white stairs off of that reinforcement to make sure no one's going to come in from the second floor. Minute remaining. Elevate, how much have they been able to really achieve? They've opened up a lot of close by to washrooms. God Legion are still just going to hold this from Cigar Lounge now. And patience is a virtue right now for Elevate. I think they're going to 20 style towards the end of this round. Go for that quick default plan and play off that.
This isn't the first time on these top floor takes that we have seen Elevate just hold angles. As I say that they tried to get the plant down, but Sage shuts that down. Josh as well finds one onto God Legion, holding these angles, just not paying off for Elevate as Digital desperately tries to find his first pick, but surely he'll be taken down, and it's a 1-on-5.
Oh, wow. But it's I mean, can we call Sage on the rookie? The debutant, we can definitely say, is the one that's just winning it right now for Knights, and they win yet another round. 5-1 at the half. We will be switching, but what a round from the Knights as a whole, as a team. But their debutant, guys, has just looked impressive.
That's exactly right, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't know who Sage is or maybe heard the name in the past, and that's because he actually competed in Challenger League, which was the second tier back in the old Pro League format. Back in season 10, I think I already said that, but he finished 4th in that season and actually managed to finish 2nd in the Year 4 Open Qualifier for the Invitational. So that was a pretty decent performance. And then moving on from that, he actually had a bit of a stint in PC 419 and in fact finished 4th in the Six Masters 2020 qualifier. So he does have a little bit of backing behind him, maybe just not quite slotting in to the squads that he played for previously, but it seems like he's found a pretty decent home so far for the Knights. And he's filling big shoes. It was Strider that left that roster, one of the biggest names from the Knights. So to be able to step in, go 7-3 in the first half, that's a great start.
I mean, that's an amazing start. You're top fragging as well on your debut against a team that, of course, Elevate. Look, this is the thing, because it looks like we're hyping this up. A team that was second last in Six Masters, but they shouldn't have probably finished second last. They had a very downward season, and they're looking to bounce back, but this is just not the way to do it. Right now, this is our most one-sided affair of the night, and of course, it is a best of one. You only get one shot each Playday, one map each Playday to have a crack at it. Of course, Elevate now we're going to be on the defense.
great opportunity now to get themselves back into this game. But for me, this first round is the one that is the most critical. If Elevate manage to drop this defense, that will head the Knights to match point, puts the blowtorch well and truly on Elevate, who we're looking at this season as the best opportunity to bounce
no.
back.
What are you on about? What blowtorch? Over expand.
Oh, shit. Ah, wow. Wait. I can't take you seriously at all.
Well, I never said you should.
Anyone got Dev Marta's phone number? We may need a fourth caster before the end of the night.
Oh boy, Knights, 1 round win away from getting that match point. Will the heads of Elevate drop if Knights can get it in their opening attacking round for the half? Minute 50 seconds remaining. Just going to clear out these ADSs from God Legion.
Maestro camera, of course, being placed under the new hatch will need to be cleared, and using, of course, ping 2.0, the attackers know exactly where it will be positioned. Quick trade at the beginning of this round. Both Hayward and Hotshot taken down. Unfortunate for Hotshot, who, of course, was playing the Maestro, could have brought that Elder into good effect late round. This setup, of course, inside of the bathroom. I believe we saw this first from Okami earlier in Six Masters. I believe it may have been in the playoffs, but either way, Elevate are trying to use that to their advantage. God Legion droned out, forced now really to fall back. Will pop the shield, so it can't be used against his team. And with a minute to go, again, this is a seesaw. I don't know which team could be out on top.
55 seconds remaining. A lot riding on this round potentially for Elevate. You can bring it back from 5-1. Win this opening defensive round, 2-5. And a couple after that, and it just starts to snowball in your favor. Baskets, Josh. Juice is going to follow after that. 4 versus 2 kind of alludes us to thinking that this round's going to go the way of Elevate. Good way to start your defense. I mean, we've both seen it time and time again, guys, where teams can have these high leads, whether it's 4-1, 5-1, but then switch at the half, and a team like Elevate can just go on and have a flawless defense.
No, it's not going down without a fight. They will push in towards Freezer. These shields causing so many issues, and it will be really difficult to cover that plant. Vast gets one. Dino lit up, taken down as well. That's a good start for Elevate. Their reliance on the deployable shields in that round and their dependency on them could be torn apart a little bit if the Knights catch on, but so far it is a good start.
It certainly is. I can agree. 2-5. And for note, that I think the last time we saw Knights in the playoffs for Six Masters, they were up 3-5 in one of their matches. Unfortunately, then went on to lose all remaining rounds after going up 3-5. So maybe 5 is just their unlucky number. It could backfire for them as we head down to service and cooking on the first floor in kitchen. 2-5. Elevate, though, are going to need to snowball this. They're going to need to gather even more momentum than they've been able to get off just that 1 round win to get back into this one.
I agree. I think Elevate need to win at least the next 2 rounds, get it to a 4-5. If Knights manage to take this round or the next, again, that pressure is applied. That's where Elevate might struggle to convert the map. Again, of course, if you are just tuning in, it is a best of 1, so each team only has 1 opportunity to beat or to be defeated by one of the other 7 teams in the tournament. So high stakes in every single matchup and no opportunity really to fall asleep.
No. You can't rest on your laurels, and you can't rest on having a 5-1 lead and hoping that the next few rounds are just going to happen for you. Especially considering that 5-1, you did all of your work on your defense of your Knights. If you don't win this round, then you don't win the next round, and suddenly it's 5-4 and you haven't won an attacking round. It's hard to sort of then have that mental capacity to back yourselves in to find that attacking round win when you haven't been able to unlock the defense of Elevate. So that's what could potentially be ahead of Knights here if they don't win either this round or the next one. That's what I feel like. If it gets 4-5, I'm going to start to worry for Knights.
Verticality being used here by Elevate, vast above God Legion as well. And of course, that super shorty on the castle can be used to remodel the floor and generate some really nice lines of sight in towards Prep, for example, which we can see fast hovering over at the moment, and even that rotate next to Fireplace, which will protect anyone trying to rotate from there without being shot by the window to the right. There we go. Good observing. Thank you for explaining my long-winded point. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is this is a great setup from Elevate, and they cannot lose the round. That's the TLDR.
Wow, they cannot lose the round.
They cannot. Maybe they will
Right
now. Maybe they will now. I changed my mind. Potentially lose the round, but it's unlikely.
Josh with the opening frag. It's definitely what Knights needed, apparently, in what was an unlosable round for Elevate. Now down to player. We'll see if they're going to be able to regain that confidence that apparently Guz has bestowed upon them. Josh just going to drone around. Still a minute and 30 seconds. A lot of time here remaining, Guz, and I don't know who that benefits right now. Obviously, Knights got the player advantage. I guess by having this player advantage and all this time, they can feel comfortable when their push eventually comes.
One thing the attackers will need to be mindful of is the longer they do have control of this floor, the increased likelihood of Elevate going for some sort of flank. I mean, Digital's playing down towards bot red, and maybe he could go for a flank. It seems like he's a little bit preoccupied at the moment, trying to get his C4 back at the moment, but once he does get that, he could head upstairs and try and disrupt the verticality being established. It looks like Digital has just given up completely. Probably not his best day in the server, as that verticality is now established, and Elevate under the pump a little bit.
Dino is low, but really he's just needing to open up some of the floorboards, use those grenades as well as we get towards the end. Worthy is going to find Dino, who was low. And Dinos did still have 2 grenades available for Knights, not going to be used now. 1-for-1 trades on the initial drop down. Digital's taken down, so it's only God Legion and Worthy that are still standing up against Josh in a 1 versus 2 now, as he confirms Digital is still just having that rough day. Josh is not over the 1v3s, Guz. He's got 14 seconds to do so.
Crossfire has been established, that barbed wire giving away a sound cue, as well as that Banshee, of course, a very loud audio cue. God Legion ready and waiting, but oh, he's run out of bullets, and Josh could win this, but in fact, he himself has run out as well. And look, as we expected, Elevate will take the round. Quite an easy round in the end, really. I mean, couldn't have gone much better, really. I mean, Elevate was just amazing. Oh, 100%. Nowhere near. Knights were nowhere near that round at all.
3-5 now. Knights yet to find an attacking round win. Obviously for Elevate, they only found 1 themselves, so they're not really coveting glory in terms of being able to break through the defense on Kafe. But now Knights are kind of feeling pressure that Elevate were once on in trying to break through the defense on Kafe, and it's kind of like now the shoes on the other foot. Reading Fireplace for this 9th round now, Guz, and I said it before and I'll stand by it. If this goes 4-5, I'm going to be feeling very, very worried for Knights.
Oof, that's a big call. It's going to take a lot for Elevate to still win this match. I think the fact that they did win the last 2 rounds, though, gives them some confidence. I mean, Digital, though, if there's a player to highlight, or maybe low light, unfortunately, it's him. He's had a really rough first map here in OCN. That's 8 rounds where he's only gotten the 1 pick. Probably smart and wise to see him be put on that pulse. He can play a little bit safer, still gather intel for his team, and doesn't have to be overly reliant on his gun skill, which may just be off tonight. I mean, every player has their off nights, so it's important that if you do, you can still maximize what you're bringing to the team.
Hey, I'm off every night, so don't worry.
Same, 100%.
On the flip, though, for Knights, I just saw their scores as well. Very, very spread out in terms of their kills. So it's a team effort from them right now, but the team effort's just not working on attack currently for the Knights. The good news is they only have to get 1 attacking round somewhere along the lines in the next couple to at the very least force overtime. You just wonder, though, you get that attacking round win now. You make it 6-3. You force that match point into the minds of Elevate. I feel like that just secures them the map win at some point down the line, but still a lot of work to do. Elevate have all the momentum right now. Knights have got all the work to do.
And if the Knights do manage to get around, then they can bank on the confidence that is the safety net of being on match point. Of course, that means that they've 100% confirmed an overtime. And worst comes to worst, even if they don't win any more rounds, they'll at least have a second chance in that OT. I'm not exactly sure what sides they'll be starting on in OT. I can't remember who had the final ban, so just have to wait on confirmation of that, I guess, if it happens. But it is really in the Knights' best interest to win this round, but Worthy, it's in his best interest to win one back, and that's a great pick onto Dino. That's the sledge taken off the board, and that does limit some of the verticality that now can be made.
We saw Knights get the opening pick in the last round. Didn't do too much for them. Will it be the same for Elevate? I'm not sure if it will be. Defender gets the opening frag. It makes it more difficult than for the attackers.
At least there's breach charges in the bank here from Sage. Still have one left as well, and that might actually be enough to mitigate the fact that Sledge was taken down. That said, Elevate seemingly have moved away from these angles, instead maybe positioning themselves more so for a retake. You can see God Legion off site here, I believe, as God Legion has an angle on this player. I'm not exactly sure what doorway this is. So it's Cocktail Lounge. I think that's the pillars outside door. No, it's Red Corridor. So I'm completely wrong, but Sage, he's not wrong. He finds his mark, and there's only 35 seconds left now in a 4-on-4.
Josh and Sage still over at Cocktail. I'll have to drop down and help out eventually. Juicy looking for that default plan. Oh, drone on in through reading, and they're going to go for that reading plant. You would suspect within the next 20 seconds, otherwise the time will run out. So they're going to get it done very soon. Then they've got at least help. They're going to have a couple of shooters on the other side waiting for that push up from behind though. Vast gets Hayward. Doesn't win that 1v1. It was a big one to win. Virtually, well, this is just over. Wow. Elevate make it 4-5, and Knights are just looking in a bit of trouble.
Such a massive flank from Vast. Not only does he beat the high ground by going up the brown stairs, defeating the player, holding that angle quite confidently at pillars, but also able to get the Habana just as that plant is secured. So a great play from him. That'll really inject some hype and some enthusiasm, I feel, into the squad. I've heard the Elevate comms before. We've heard them before in some of the videos they've released. They can get super hype when they hit plays. So hopefully that'll really inject that confidence into the team. And now they're only one round away from evening this out.
Fireplace mining. It's becoming more common, apparently. 4-5. Knights, have they just fallen into a bit of a hole here on their attack? And even though they're still leading score-wise, I feel like the pressure's on them more than it is on Elevate. Elevate from the worst off position on the scoreboard, but right now just playing better Siege.
And we've already seen LFO struggle to attack this side. It was Wildcard that sent them on that wild goose chase really on 2 occasions. Hopefully the Knights in their scrims and their dry runs have done some practice on this site, on the attack, ready and raring to go, because it looks like Elevate have a pretty well thought out setup prepared. You know, they've decided now is probably the time to pull this out, try and even out that score. And not only would it even out the scoreline, but it puts even more doubt in the backs of the minds of the Knights, especially if it's this side.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Mag it out. Changing mags. You can worry
Hard to
less
see
about
where
it.
Knights are going to find a round win here. They're going to need something to just go their way. Maybe a bit of luck. Find 2 opening frags rather than just the one. And maybe hope that Elevate just mess up somewhere along the lines. Of course, as we've kind of already alluded to, they only have to get the 1 attacking round win to at the very least force overtime at a minimum. Not only that, if they can do it, then they also get match point. And that puts a bit of doubt then potentially in the minds of Elevate. Knights are going to have to change things up because what they've been trying hasn't been working.
2.0 again on display. That deployable shield lit up like a Christmas tree, and Hayward can use an Ash charge to clear it. Drone's being used now to just make sure this position is clear, but of course it's not. God Legion still roaming, but he drops off. And now the Knights should be able to
Reloading.
gain control above. So critical on
Bomb
this side. A
located by
lot of the
attackers.
floor is destructible. We saw other teams like LFO again struggle to really play into that. But it does look like the Knights are ready and raring to go. Fast, however, it could be a little bit of a wild card in this round, still roaming above that laundry hatch. And if the Knights are unaware, he could catch them off guard and once again have a big influence on this round.
Just going back, I mean, it was only a couple of rounds ago we were joking around, and I did mention that there's a chance that Elevate could go flawless on their defense. There's that ping 2.0 really highlighted right there, is it not?
Oh, Josh, what are you doing? Unless he was trying to clear it. He might have been actually trying to clear an ADS. It just looks funny.
Nest in position.
Hard to see where this round's really going in terms of favoritism. For the first time in a while, no real opening frag. With 45 seconds remaining. As I say that though, Josh will get hot shot, and this might be the entryway for Knights towards the back end of this 10th round. Can they find match point? 30 seconds coming up. God Legion taking a bit of damage. Sejon has just gone a bit quiet on the attacking rounds compared to the defense. Can he get back involved? God Legion taking some damage now as well. 20 seconds left, guys. This is a big one for the Knights. It's the closest they've really gotten to finding a round win on their attack. 3-5 now. Can they finish it off?
15 seconds left.
It's big from Josh in this round, but God Legion inside of the site, no less, is able to find a pick. Digital as well. God
Oh my
Legion
God.
still popping off. The Knights just not clearing that position, leaves it all in the hands of Hayward. But there's nothing he can do, and Elevate will even out the scoreline.
Oh, that is just soul-crushing for Knights. 3-5 in the round, 20 seconds left. And Elevate just hold all their positions, hold all their angles, and just go frag, frag, frag in the blink of an eye. It's now 5-5. Manic and Raven sitting there just rubbing their hands together right now with the clip of you trash talking them, Guz. I just want to say I didn't do any trash talking to those two.
Wow, you're not going to stand by your
No,
fellow
I'm out.
caster.
I'm out.
Wow. Jeez, I may as well just hang up the microphone right now. That is just disgraceful.
I don't
but-
know if Knights have got what it takes to come back here.
Well, look, there was only one attacking round win in the first half, so the Knights at
Attackers
worst
need to
surely
locate
can
and
just win
defuse
one
the bomb.
round here and head it to overtime. That's at least my thinking at the moment.
It's easier said than done though. That was primed to be the round. 3-5, 20 seconds left. Good position, good control. Obviously, Elevate just ended up winning the gunfights, and that's really all that matters at the end. Cold Legion having a very impressive Kafe along with Worthy, 12 and 11 for both of them. And Knights have just come to a halt, unfortunately, on their attack right now, and it's come to this 5-5. Next round, the winner of this round gets match point. And that is just going to put Knights' mental in the bin, surely. If they're going to be down a match point to Elevate, I don't see it happening.
Defuse the bomb.
An upstairs hold again here from Elevate. Returning to the site, they successfully defended in their first defense, of course, being round number 7. The Knights now need to try and pick it apart, find some of its weaknesses and exploit them. Nothing too ridiculous coming out from either team. Standard across the board. You've got the Omega combo. Mamai and Jaeger, of course, on the defense to soak up some utility. You've got plenty of utility on the side of the attackers to clear it. So, of course, it's anyone's game, as a wise prophet once told me. Especially this early in the round.
Not sure, though, if Knights have got what it takes. I'm trying my best here right now to just sort of reverse psychology this whole situation,
Bomb
doing as
located
much
by
as I can to
attackers.
cast a bless, but
Yes.
it's not
Cast a
happening.
bless, Yes. Desperate
Elevate
times
certainly
call
though
for
have
desperate
deserved it.
measures.
They've looked really clean on their defense. And look, honestly, this whole series between the two of the teams has now finally, it's taken 10 rounds, but we've gotten to how we thought it would really play out, which is two teams that are closely contested in terms of skill level, And the scoreline now suggests that. And they've both been able to have really strong defense on Kafe, which is slightly defender favored. And it's just highlighted right now from both of these two teams. Knights are just going to grind it out and find one here towards the end. If they lose this round, then I think you got to do something funky in the next round.
None of the walls open just yet, so maybe the Knights taking their time waiting for Juicy to come along and help open some angles in towards Freezer, or maybe even for a trash plan, although that wall, I believe, is soft. Juicy is in a gunfight. Pings come out, though, and he will get the wall, and there we go. It's actually going to be soft wall, so maybe we might not even see Juicy open Freezer. No, he does in the end. Sajian will probably come across and open that in towards bins, open the wall in towards bins. So we're expecting that's where the plant will go down, but the angles from Elevate have been established to try and deny that.
Yeah, very different position to how we saw Knights defending this. A lot more presence for Elevate around washrooms, Freezer, and Cocktail. Obviously, we saw Knights do that really strange defense. Worked out well, really strange, but holding more around bar. In fact, they're probably in the similar position to where they were actually defending from. 20 seconds left remaining. It's still 5-5. Knights are just going to go in all guns blazing right now. They've got to win these fights. They lose the first one, though. Opening frag to Vast onto Dino, and 13 seconds left. One through the smoke, though, from Joshua to Worthy. One over at Whites as well. Josh has got a second one. He needs to find a third one, though. They need to ride that luck. The diffuser is planted as well. Vast is down. Hotshot. Digital. Not going to lie, guys, two of the guys that have struggled the most on Elevate are the ones remaining, as Vast is confirmed. It's a 2 versus 4, and Knights have maybe just cracked the defense of Elevate.
And I mean, the fact that the Knights have someone on the roof is critical in this round. There's nothing that Hotshot really can do in this round. He will be taken down, and the Knights will get that ever important second last round of regulation. They're on match point. They could close it out, Xenox, but it is so tough on this side, as we've already established.
Oh, match point is finally in the hands of Knights. It's not just match point, but it's also the fact that now, worst case scenario, they do get to go to overtime. So they've got some of the chocolates. I think for Elevate, you just can't get tilted from that particular round and now giving up match point, because for them it's sort of like so close to getting the job done. They had them on the ropes. They had them down for the count, but Knights have been able to just get up, throw one more haymaker, and now Elevate have got to respond one more time. They've been just almost flawless on defense. We go down to kitchen. Do we go to overtime, or is it going to be 7-5, guys?
Tricky to call, but the worrying thing for me, if you're an Elevate fan or an Elevate player in the server, is the fact that the Knights were able to take that round rather, with a pretty simple execute. That bins plant with the angles in towards Freezer is nothing new. It's a pretty default attack by this point of the meta, and Elevate threw everything they had to try and deny it, but it wasn't quite enough. So heading into this round, maybe the Knights will just go, hey, maybe we should just play it safe, nothing too fancy. And if Elevate do slip up again, particularly with that plant denial, they'll find themselves in trouble, and they could well drop the map.
The Knights just maybe found the groove as well with that round win, unlocking the defense of Elevate to now try and do it 2 rounds in a row. It's not totally common to be able to do that, though. Throughout a attacking half on Kafe, maybe you get one here and one there and one there, but to get 2 in a row and head down to kitchen, it's not going to be an easy task for Knights. So definitely still feel like Elevate probably in the favored position to tie us back up at 6-6 and force this overtime. But if Knights get the opening pick here, I'm going to back them in all the way.
Definitely share that sentiment as the Knights now slowly progress through the map. Josh has been a key figure in some of these attacks again on that Zofia, looking to maybe find some more, and find some more they might. Vast and God Legion are both playing on the second floor, both in key positions, holding the hatch, and they're there to try and waste as much time as possible. That said, though, it looks like they may have dropped down, and that does forfeit vertical control to the Knights.
Still a lot of time remaining, but as you can see, and as you said, have dropped back down to that first
Attackers
floor,
recovered the bomb diffuser.
which means there's no one really roaming around, giving Knights complete control of this second floor. It can open up a lot of sight lines, break up a lot of the floor, especially over in train. They can find that opening pick, and that's usually how it goes for Kitchen. To unlock it is to get that opening pick through the floorboards and throw a nade down or just simply shoot them. That works too.
Well, you know what doesn't work? Shooting Banshees, and as we spectate Worthy, I'm not exactly sure where those Banshees have been placed, but if the Knights let this timer tick down, they could be faced with the prospect of being quite slow and quite noisy come that execute. So it's critical that if they have been spotted, they clear them, and if they haven't, that they do locate where they are. And oh my god, talk about information fast. That's perfect information inside of Bakery rather, but it doesn't matter. Sage and Hayward popping off here with only 40 seconds left.
Makes it a 5 versus 3 match point on the line here. Elevate have done an amazing job to get it back to a close margin rather than a complete blowout. Their defense has been impressive, but maybe just Knights have finally opened a pathway forward to finishing off this best of 1 series. 6-5, 19 seconds, 3v5. That is everything on the line here. Slowly pushing in, hot shot over the hallway, trying to find one back. They can't. They're just outnumbered, outgunned. And Knights will take out this best of 1 on Kafe. 7-5. It was almost the impressive comeback from Elevate. Keyword there is almost. And you know what that means, guys? Yourself,
We were right.
and I,
Woo! Let's go.
we're right with the predictions.
We are
Screw
the
you
best
all you
casters.
other casters.
Yes, best casters in OCE.
Woo!
100% confirmed. But I mean,
No
look,
bias here.
it was definitely not as confident of a win as I was expecting, particularly after that first half. It was dicey nonetheless. But hey, the Knights showed up when it mattered. 2 late round attacking wins is all you need on such a defender-sided game, and they come home with the chocolates. That's one massive dub on the board, and unfortunately, that is a big L in the column rather for Elevate.
Certainly share the same sentiment as you've just mentioned, and look, great way to start the season for the Knights, of course, after the departure of Strider. Sejion has come in and had an amazing debut. Unfortunately for Elevate, their trend of 6 Masters has now continued into the Oceanic Nationals, unable to win one of these close or fair matchups. So look, I thought they looked impressive though, and they looked like the Elevate that could have easily won that map and won that match. So I don't see them finishing second last. After what I've seen there, especially in their defense, they've got a bit to work on, guys, but I don't see them finishing second last. So it's not the end of times for Elevate.
Yeah, the most worrying thing really for Elevate, as you mentioned, is the continuation of that form from the first stage of OCN here into the second. I mean, the last map win that they actually managed to get was day 8 of 6 Masters 2020. So that is quite a long time ago. In fact, it was against Ferox, arguably one of the teams we're expecting to finish in the bottom 2. So it's a little bit grim for Elevate. I mean, there are some positives that can be taken on that map. For the most part, their defenses were pretty tight, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to maintain that consistency that they would have desired.
As we've been doing throughout the night, of course, having a quick interview with a member of the winning team, in this case from the Pittsburgh Knights. We are going to be having Dino on the interview. Usually it's Strider. Dino, welcome on in. Congratulations on the win. What a way to kickstart your campaign for the Oceanic Nationals.
Thank you. Oh, it was so stressful nearly through. But yeah, it was good. It was really, really good. I'm so proud of Sajon and the whole team. I'm really, really happy.
I mean, yeah, let's dive into that roster change again. Congratulations for tonight, but there's no doubt that on paper it looked to be a little bit of a tough one. Of course, Strider stepping down, Sage jumping on in. How did that roster change play out tonight, and what are your thoughts sort of leading into the rest of the season in regards to his performance?
So with Strider jumping out, that means we lost our main hard bridge and our main droner. But with the introduction of Sage, I think it adds more of an aggressive style to the team, which we need, and a more unpredictable playstyle as well. I guess it was hard when we just lost Strider because we needed to find a new main hard bridge and a main droner. But Juicy's picked up that role excellent, like really, really well. And I think with the more matches we play, the better, and it should get easier for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, you even mentioned it yourself, right? That map was incredibly stressful. It was stressful for us because it got to the point where we were wondering where are the Knights going to get this round from? What was the thought process and what was the sort of the energy in the team on the back end of that map? Because you basically left it to the very last second to actually get those round wins on the board.
So with with such a big lead on on defense, we thought, all right, we have to reset. So when we went on to attack, we said, all right, 0-0. Every time we lost a round, we just tried to find out why we lost the round, tried to improve on it, and then fix for the next. We had a bit of hiccups here and there with bringing the wrong operators, not having soft breach on one round, and I think one of the rounds they went, we actually misjoined the site, so that kind of like threw a coin. But I think overall we reset properly. We let our nerves aside, and we just won the game fair and square.
What are the team expectations for this season of Oceanic Nationals after the departure of Strider and obviously a new addition and some players having to rejig their roles on the team? Is it just simply to make playoffs?
To come second, and if we can beat wildcard as well. We're not here to play around.
Hey,
we're here to win.
Aim for first, and maybe you land at second.
Exactly. We showed up by coming second in the major. Why can't we win this?
Exactly. Look, you guys looked great, especially on your defense. With you, the best of luck for the season. Congratulations again on the win.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, why aim for second? That one I don't agree with. But hey, like we keep saying it for pretty much every team. No offense, except for Rhythm and Wildcard, they're like firmly 1 and 2, 1 and last. But Knights are a team that could easily finish second. I don't see them finishing second last. I don't have them that low. I definitely have them in the playoffs. And look, the signs that we've seen from that particular game lead me to, be filled up with a lot of belief for them for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, the only worrying side for me, and it's a bit of a meme at this point, was Dino mentioning that they wrongly droned a site. If we cast our minds back, it wasn't too long ago that they did that against Sinister when they baited them into a completely opposite bomb site on the map. So hopefully that trend doesn't continue and they can perform well come the back end of the season. But why not shoot for first? I think that should be the ultimate goal for all of these teams.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Up next, though, we've got Ferox versus Noble for what will be our final match of the night.
Reloading.
5 seconds remaining. Attackers drop the defuse. 5 seconds left. 15 seconds remaining. Attackers bomb diffuser has been dropped. 15 seconds remaining.